Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, we're going to be talking about some UFC hypothetical matchups. I'm just kidding. I gotta drop the shtick. In this video, we're going to be talking about UFC hypothetical matchups because now with Max Holloway beating Justin Gaethje, I've heard so many people say, oh, imagine what Max Holloway would have done to Khabib. Like, bro, calm the fuck down. Look, I know he beat Justin Gaethje. That was very impressive. I picked him to lose that fight. You know, if anything, I should be the one saying that, right? Especially since I picked Justin Gaethje to beat him. But let's calm down with the Max Holloway glaze. Let's be realistic. Khabib would have still ragdolled Max Holloway. Ilia Topuria still beats Max Holloway. And Islam Makhachev also beats Max Holloway. I know you guys are going to be angry in the comments, typing, Based MMA, you don't know shit, Based MMA, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up and listen to Based MMA, because I'm about to speak some facts. So, let's get to the hypothetical matchups. Sean O'Malley versus Max Holloway at 145 pounds. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, what? Bro, what kind of matchup is that? Sean O'Malley has no chance. Are you serious, man? Because Sean O'Malley is probably the best striker in the UFC currently right now. His footwork is amazing. He has power. His distance management is one of the best. He has great volume. We just saw that against Oliveira. And you know, the fight against Max Holloway at 145 pounds, I get it. Max Holloway is a staple of the featherweight division. And I could see Sean O'Malley having some problems. But even though I still think that Max Holloway would win that matchup just based on volume, based on the fact that he has the same length as Sean O'Malley, the fact that Sean O'Malley is not going to be able to bully someone around like Max Holloway, and Max Holloway definitely has the experience in his hand as well. He definitely has more experience at the highest level, right? Obviously, Sean O'Malley is one of the best strikers, but against who, right? He had a great competitive fight against Peter Yan, but that fight was very competitive. You could have given that fight to Peter Yan, but Peter Yan mostly won that fight because of the grappling. You know, he knocked out Aljamain Sterling, who isn't that great on the feet, and then he just put a beating over Chito Vera, who's basically a punching bag. So even though Sean O'Malley has looked very impressive, it's like against who? You know what I'm saying? So basically cans. And Max Holloway just beat Justin Gaethje at 155 pounds. So I think Max Holloway, even though I think, you know, Sean O'Malley would do better than people give him credit for against a Max Holloway at 145 pounds, I still think Max Holloway would just be too much based on volume, based on experience, based on the fact that he's basically the same length and kind of build as Sean O'Malley. But make no mistake, Sean O'Malley has power, and maybe he's able to bulk up properly to 145 pounds. The problem is that he's not going to be able to hold a candle to the cardio of Max Holloway in the featherweight division. So the next hypothetical matchup is Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev at 155 pounds. And this fight is very interesting because I know, especially the people that watch Based MMA, I have a lot of Dagestan fans. Actually, I don't know if I have a lot of Khabib fans. I think they hate me. I have a lot of Ilia Topuria fans that watch me. You know, a lot of people think that Topuria, you know, could knock out Islam Makhachev, and I kind of agree. I think Ilia Topuria could be very dangerous in the pocket if he's able to close the range on Islam Makhachev. And we saw Islam Makhachev get dropped by Volkanovski. If you're able to get dropped by Volkanovski, you could absolutely get knocked out by Ilia Topuria. The problem with this fight is that, you know, Islam Makhachev is a very tall fighter. He's a southpaw. He has a great head kick, which we've seen that head kick be a weakness of Ilia Topuria. Even though he has sharpened his defense, I could still see Islam Makhachev hurting him on the feet. And I think, look, Ilia Topuria, you know, he did get taken down. I mean, he didn't get taken down, but Bryce Mitchell had moments in the grappling where he had a little bit of success. You know, I still think Bryce Mitchell got absolutely battered. Don't come at me in the comments. But I think Islam Makhachev could have success with the grappling. And I think he'll be able to stay safe enough on the feet to beat Topuria. Obviously, we still need to see how Topuria does because obviously he just beat Volkanovski. We haven't really seen him defend his title. But I think this hypothetical matchup could happen in the future. And I absolutely love this fight. I think this fight would be very exciting, especially if Topuria is able to absolutely destroy like Max Holloway and then maybe beats Volkanovski in the rematch and then maybe beats like a Mosver Evloev. And then he fights Islam Makhachev at 155 pounds. I think it would be an amazing fight. I will still lean Islam Makhachev to win this fight. I just think Islam Makhachev is too defensively defensively sound. I think his grappling is elite. He's a lot more technical on the ground than Ilia Topuria. He has a significant size advantage, but make no mistake, Topuria is dangerous at 155 pounds, and he definitely has the power to put out Islam Makhachev. So maybe in the future, this is the most dangerous fight for Islam Makhachev, but we will see. But let me know in the comments who you think wins this fight. I think it's pretty good fight. The next hypothetical matchup is Arman Tsarukyan versus Alexander Volkanovski at 155 pounds. And actually, I think this fight is pretty close, man. Obviously, Arman Tsarukyan has great grappling, great top control, nasty ground and pound on the feet. He's very versatile, very flexible, throws axe kicks, throws really good head kicks, really good body kicks. His hands aren't all that, he doesn't have the greatest boxing, and sometimes he does make mistakes defensively. Volkanovski is an amazing striker, great volume. I don't know if he has crazy power at 155 pounds. And to be totally honest with you, I was initially leaning Volkanovski to win that fight because I was like, okay, Volkanovski is able to defend the takedowns, then I could see him winning in the striking exchanges. However, I'm making this hypothetical matchup based on the current version of Volkanovski. I'm not making like a prime version of Volkanovski, even though I think Volkanovski isn't necessarily washed because he looked great against Topuria before he got knocked out. I'm going to go with the current version of Volkanovski. I think Arman Tsarukyan would be able to beat Volkanovski by a decision. I think his takedowns are way too fast, and maybe he's not able to submit Volkanovski, even though Arman Tsarukyan is not really a submission artist. He has nasty ground and pound. I think he would have success landing ground and pound shots on Volkanovski, controlling him, winning rounds. Similar fight to maybe that first Islam Makhachev. I could see Volkanovski having success on the feet, but Arman Tsarukyan, he's a very versatile on the feet, very flexible. I could even see him like stunning Volkanovski with maybe an axe kick or a head kick. But I think this would be a very, very interesting matchup. I think right now I would probably lean Arman Tsarukyan by a decision, but I think it would be a very competitive, very interesting matchup. Now the next fight is Alex Pereira versus Tom Aspinall. This one is kind of an obvious one because I think a lot of people are talking about this fight, especially since Alex Pereira is basically dominating the 205 division. Eventually, if Alex Pereira keeps winning and if he beats Magomed Ankalaev, he's going to move up to the heavyweight division. And how does a fight against Tom Aspinall look like? And in my opinion, I gotta lean Tom Aspinall. I think this is kind of an obvious one just because like Tom Aspinall, he has a great ground game. He's a natural heavyweight, and I think Alex Pereira moving up to like a 265 division, a heavyweight division, that's kind of a big jump. Like I know 185, 205, that's 20 pounds. But moving up to the heavyweight division, especially when you're not a natural heavyweight, he's probably going to be the faster guy. But it's like, I don't know if he could take the punishment or a punch from Tom Aspinall. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely going to be one of those fights of who lands first. And we've seen Tom Aspinall get hit. And maybe if Alex Pereira is able to land that left hook on Tom Aspinall early, he could finish him and knock him out. But I just think Tom Aspinall is way too well-rounded. And I would probably lean Tom Aspinall to win that fight. But, hypothetical matchup, I still think it's a very interesting one. I could see some of you guys in the comments saying that Alex Pereira will knock out Tom Aspinall, but I think most of you, logical MMA fans would pick Tom Aspinall to win that fight. Now, the next hypothetical matchup would be Leon Edwards versus Dricus du Plessis at 185. Who wins this fight? And even though, I make fun of Dricus all the time because he's a very sloppy man on the feet. He looks like a drunk man, even though he does have power, even though he's very strategic. He's very tactical when it comes to the striking, and winning fights. Leon Edwards is definitely the better technical striker, a very pretty striker, a point fighter, doesn't really like to be in a war. I think Dricus would win that fight. I think he's just way too physical for Leon Edwards. Even though, Leon Edwards has technique, he doesn't necessarily have power with his hands. I think Dricus du Plessis would be able to take him down, maybe, control him on the ground, land ground and pound shots. But I really see Dricus du Plessis knocking out Leon Edwards just because of the power advantage. And I think that even though Dricus, he's not that defensively sound, he has a good chin, he walks forward, and I think that would just be way too much for Leon Edwards. And he's definitely at a size advantage. Leon Edwards is a very big welterweight, but moving up to face someone like Dricus du Plessis, I think Dricus du Plessis would just outman him and basically mog him. I don't see Leon Edwards beating someone like Dricus du Plessis, in my opinion. I think Dricus du Plessis is just way too strong for him. Like I said, I think Leon Edwards is, probably the better, prettier striker, but I think Dricus has the power advantage. We just saw that he has great cardio over 5 rounds, and I just think Dricus would bring a fight to Leon Edwards that Leon Edwards hates to be in, which is that war. Like Leon Edwards likes to have a fight on his own pace, a point fight at range, touch you, but not really try to hurt you. He's not a guy that's trying to knock you out. And if you're not going out there to try to hurt Dricus du Plessis, then he's going to beat you and he's going to finish you. I think that it could be a similar fight to Dricus du Plessis versus Robert Whittaker, where Robert Whittaker is also one of those fighters who loves to point fight, who loves to outclass you in the striking. But he's not a guy that's necessarily finishing you and hurting you. And because of that, I think Dricus du Plessis was able to expose Robert Whittaker. And I think he would be able to expose Leon Edwards. And the next fight would be Islam Makhachev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov at 170. Who wins this fight? Ooh. I think Islam Makhachev is a better fighter. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is a bit overrated. Look, I think he's great. I think he's going to be a future champion. But I think in the striking, he's okay. He kind of forces the takedowns. We've seen him kind of struggle to take down Jeff Neal, even though Jeff Neal has great takedown defense. You know, he had kind of a lackluster performance over, Wonderboy, even though he was able to submit Wonderboy, which not a lot of fighters do. And I know he was injured going into that fight, so I'm going to not be too critical of Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Shavkat would beat Islam just because, he would probably be able to defend. I don't think Islam Makhachev would be able to do anything on the ground. I don't think he would be able to take down Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I think on the feet, Shavkat might not be as defensively sound as Islam Makhachev, but he has the power advantage. And I think he's more durable than Islam Makhachev. And I think he would just be able to probably hurt Islam Makhachev on the feet. I think Islam Makhachev would have, problems. Maybe he would try to clinch up, but you really don't want to clinch up with someone like Shavkat Rakhmonov. So right now, I'd probably lean Shavkat. I mean, I know Islam Makhachev is a pretty big welterweight, but I think Shavkat just has those right, abilities or attributes that would make it kind of hard for Islam Makhachev. The fact that he also has great takedown defense, great submission skills. He's very big. He's very physically imposing. He has a granite chin, has power as well. Maybe not as pretty of a striker as Islam Makhachev, not as defensively sound. But if Islam Makhachev is not really able to hurt him on the feet, which I don't really see him hurting Shavkat on the feet, I think he loses that fight, So I'm going to go with Shavkat Rakhmonov to beat Islam Makhachev, probably by TKO. Now, the next hypothetical matchup, the last one, is current Charles Oliveira versus current Alexander Volkanovski at 155 pounds. Who wins this fight? I think Charles wins this fight. I think Charles Oliveira would win this fight by knockout, but I could see Volkanovski winning with the grappling, being able to control and kind of bully Charles Oliveira on the ground. And if he's able to be, pretty aware of Charles Oliveira's ground game and be able to kind of manhandle him, I just don't think Volkanovski's as strong. Maybe he is as strong as Armin Tsarukyan, but he doesn't have that elite grappling as Armin Tsarukyan, that control, that nasty ground and pound shots. I think Charles Oliveira would win by a knockout on the feet. Maybe Charles Oliveira would be, not as scared, but I felt like he was so timid against Armin Tsarukyan that I could see Volkanovski beating this current version. But I mean, we just saw Volkanovski come back. He's coming off 2 back-to-back knockout losses. So I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira to knock out Alexander Volkanovski at 155 pounds. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I'll make more hypothetical matchups. Let me know what you think of the matchups that I brought up. Who you think would win those matchups. Make sure to like and subscribe to Based MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.